This conference will now be recorded.
Have to give a tap dance.
Okay, welcome to the Alpena City Council meeting of August 1st, 2022. Call the order, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Here.
Councilmember Noah.
Here.
Councilmember Walczak.
Here.
And Mayor Walagora.
Here. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval and modification of the agenda. So I'll entertain a motion to approve first. Please.
So moved. Second. So louder.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Yes.
That's all I got.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes.
Councilmember Noah.
Yes.
Councilmember Walczak.
Yes.
And Mayor Walagora.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Any proposed modifications?
No.
No, sir.
Thank you. Okay, approval of the minutes for regular and closed session of July 18th, 2022. Any issues, changes? Okay. So citizens appearing before council on agenda and non-agenda items are allowed 5 minutes each to address your concerns. If you'd like to do so, please come to the podium and state your name and address for our records. I'm just going to ask that if anyone wants to speak on the topic of the Culligan Plaza to wait until further into our meeting. I'm going to open up some public comment after the agenda item is done. So anything other than Culligan Plaza now and then Culligan Plaza later.
Oh, darn it. Anyway, the other topic, this is Mark Hunter, 614 8th Street. Just a comment on the fluoride issue, not on the science part of it, but on the cost. If council members are not aware of the cost of the water bill for the splash park, I would just make that comparison in your mind. Really, the fluoride is a very small expense. And I don't think anyone's screaming about the expense of the splash park. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Howdy. All right, first time ever doing this, so bear with me. I don't know if I can ask questions of you guys or how the format really works.
Sort of. I will let you know.
Okay, I'm Isaac Boda.
Isaac Boda, and your address just real quick for the clerk.
Yep, 414 South 6th Avenue.
Okay, so how public comment works is generally it's a one-way. You're going to one-way to us. We don't really get into a discussion about anything, but from time to time I might just step in and have a say. But
so I kind of have 4 questions, and possibly if I can return next month and have some answers on them, or a way to reach out.
might work, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm here on behalf of the repairs that need to be made to the skate park and the future plans of the reopening of the skate park and just all entirely the existence of the skate park. So my first question is, over the many years this park has been deteriorating, who made the decision to let it get to this point? That's the first question. Does the city not have someone on staff that regularly inspects the skate park? If repairs to the property are in fact too difficult to find contractors, why have we not had the conversations regarding redesigning and replacing what's there with something easier to maintain? Many of the top skate parks in Michigan are built with concrete. We are the leader in concrete production in the whole United States. Ypsilanti, Detroit, Traverse City, Ann Arbor all have cement skate parks. We have a concrete technology program at our college, and it's one of the best in the United States as well. So I feel like we should have that conversation. Does the city have funding in either, from what I understand, it's 2 different buckets, in the youth and recreational millage funds for grants to build a new skate park? And if not, what are the options to make this happen? Or are there options for us to meet the city in the middle with fundraising efforts? So those are my questions.
Isaac, appreciate it.
Reach out, I'm assuming, to somebody afterwards.
Yep, we're going to stay in contact with you. The skate park's been a big topic lately, seconded maybe only by Culligan Plaza and one of the streets downtown. But we have your name and address. I'm just going to ask, did you happen to be the same person that contacted Steve? Okay, so there's been a couple of people that have contacted the engineering office with the same concerns
Yeah.
you have.
You have an engineering? Nice to meet you.
So more than likely kind of accumulating a list. I met with another person that's not here tonight on the same topic late last week. So we're probably just going to accumulate some knowledge, a group possibly to address some of the issues that you.
Yeah, there's 3 of us here tonight. We're all parents of kids that shred around this town on skateboards and scooters and whatnot, and we'd like to be a part of the conversation to make sure that it continues moving forward.
I'm going to give you this. I just want you to just leave it on Steve's desk. Oh, you have a pencil?
I got that.
Okay, thanks. Okay, sorry.
That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll just assume you're applauding me. When we do get a big group like this, I do always ask that we just the applause. We'll just keep it that way. If quite frankly, that way, if somebody says something and they don't get applause, it's not a whole thing. So we'll just hold the applause tonight, and please proceed.
Okay, my name's Noni Muller. I live at 226 Fair Avenue, and I'm speaking to the issue of fluoridation. Just right off the bat, we're looking at more expense because the supply that we have been using is running out. They can't get it, and now they're going to have to buy a more expensive one, a form of it that's even more toxic. Fluoride is a dangerous chemical, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes. The other concern I have is that this toxic chemical is going to, the city workers at the water plant, they're going to be exposed to that. And there's going to be serious concerns about that too, if there's a spill or anything else. But fluoride is very toxic. Toothpaste warning, do not swallow, right? Do not let a child 2 years and under use it. Use just water on the toothbrush. So, okay, why is that? If a child swallows a small amount of toothpaste that they use to brush their teeth and they say, just give it a little swipe or a little pea-sized amount, if they swallow it, that's concern, of course, and you should check with your doctor and find out what needs to be done. But if it's a large amount, the literature recommends going to the emergency room and the hospital immediately. And there's reasons for that, because fluoride, it's not a nutrient that we need like a vitamin or a mineral or something, but it's a toxic chemical. And the body has a lot of difficulty detoxing it, so it accumulates over time. I was surprised to read that if a child swallows a lot, you have to take them to the emergency room. But even a small amount over time has a cumulative effect. And that's the concern I have. There's a condition called skeletal fluorosis, and it's brittle bones and painful inflamed joints from overexposure to fluoride. And what my concern is that we've got it in our water. And so, all right, I don't swallow my toothpaste. I buy non-fluoridated toothpaste. But what do I do when I make my coffee? What do I do when I go to a restaurant and get a glass of water? What do I do when I have soup or, anything else? I'm getting trace amounts of fluoride on a regular basis. I don't like that. So I have used alternative sources. But this doesn't give people the right to consent to a medical dental treatment. And that's another concern. But the biggest concern is that it's a very toxic chemical. Now, I didn't check my time, but the last thing I wanted to say is that it's very difficult, according to the literature, to remove fluoride. And that's my concern. I spoke to this issue earlier at a previous meeting and said, I don't need to fluoridate my lawn or my clothes or my dishes. So why are we going to this additional expense that when people can buy fluoridated toothpaste if they want to do that, they can go to the dentist and get a treatment. Okay, that's expensive, but you can buy mouthwash and swish with mouthwash. So why do all of us have to be exposed to fluoride? Why do I, as a taxpayer, have to pay money to have the system upgraded, expensive, what, $100,000 for the new equipment and the renovations and the changes. And then I think staff have to wear protective equipment and stuff. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think our dollars would be better spent when there are enough alternatives that people can have if they want to fluoridate their teeth. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else tonight? Any other topic other than the Culligan?
Angie Skiba, 635 River. I'm just representing the dental field. I totally disagree with her comments about fluoride. It's very necessary since fluoride has been introduced into the water. The records show that there has been a great decrease in cavities throughout many cities throughout the United States. It's very necessary. And if I understood a few weeks ago at a meeting we had, there is enough fluoride. Is it through end of September or through when?
November-ish.
Okay, so November. So maybe by then we may still be able to be at the same cost. So that circumstance may not even take place to have it be required that we get into that cost at all. But I definitely think fluoride should be in there just to represent the dental field. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much, all of you. The consent agenda tonight is bills to be allowed in the amount of $565,886.61.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilmember Noah,
Yes.
Councilmember Walchuk,
Yes.
Mayor Walagora,
Aye.
and Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We have one announcement this evening. The state primary election will be held tomorrow, August 2nd, 2022. Polls are open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. Anything else to add, Hannah? No?
Please vote.
All right, thanks. I have a proclamation this evening. This is for the Stephen Siller Tunnels to Towers Recognition Day. Whereas the Siller family started the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation to honor the memory of their brother Stephen, a New York City firefighter who lost his life on September 11, 2001 after strapping on his gear and running through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel to the Twin Towers. And whereas the goal of the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation is to continue Stephen's legacy by supporting our nation's first responders and service members. And their mission is to honor the sacrifice of firefighter Stephen Siller, who laid down his life to save others on September 11, 2001, and to honor our military and first responders who continue to make the supreme sacrifice of life and limb to our country. And whereas Building for America's Bravest, a program of the Stephen Siller Tunnels to Tower Foundation, constructs specially adapted smart homes for our most catastrophically injured service members. Each home is custom designed to address the unique needs of each individual. Energy efficient, automated, and easily accessible. These homes use adaptive technology to help our most severely injured heroes live better, more independent lives. And whereas the Fallen First Responder Program supports the families of our law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency workers that lost their lives under extraordinary circumstances in the line of duty. And whereas the Gold Star Family Program honors the legacy of those who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving our country, the foundation provides a 100% mortgage-free home to the surviving spouse with young children. And whereas the Tunnel to Towers 5K Run Walk series was created to retrace the final steps of Stephen Siller, the Run and Walk event pays homage to all first responders who made and continue to make extraordinary sacrifices in the line of duty. And whereas the Alpena Tunnel to Towers 5K Run Walk will be held on August 13th, 2022, starting at the bandshell at Bayview Park. Registration begins at 8 a.m. And now, therefore, I, Matthew J. Walagora, by the virtue of authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Alpena, do hereby proclaim Saturday, August 13th, 2022, as Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Recognition Day in the city of Alpena. and encourage residents to participate in the event following the suggestions on the website and Facebook page, and support all our local public safety officers and service members. And we have a representative here tonight. Right on, and I'll keep on that, because I'll bring it back on Saturday. Sure. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, next up is communications and petitions. So this is a petition to stop the proposed plan for the redesign of Culligan Plaza. We have Taishaw Thomas, Carol Bobolts, Laurie Wade, and Jean Nardi, if you'd like to come up.
Jean had an emergency, so we're hoping we can sub in one speaker. Okay.
Can we go up individually?
Can we go up individually or together?
You can all just come up and huddle around the mic if you want.
Can I get up? Where did my stuff here?
I'll just need a name of Jean that is Jean, just so we know.
Melissa Temerick. Okay, hi, my name is Taishaw Thomas, and I'm from Alpena. I was born and raised here, and I graduated in '99, and then went on to ACC and also to NMU in Marquette for fine arts, and moved around a lot, traveled around and all around the country, a little bit of Europe, and really prefer towns about this size. And I realized in like moving around everywhere from Homer, Alaska to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that I wanted to live here. So when I met my husband 5 years ago, who's from Sonoma County, I said I would marry him if he agreed to move to Alpena. And so I didn't have to twist his arm because he had been here and fell in love with it. And now we have 2 kids and we love living downtown. We can take the stroller and hang out at the fountain, and we can go trick-or-treating downtown, and the library, everything. I love living in town. And when I first read about the proposed design, I was like shocked because it didn't represent the charming downtown, old town Alpena that I've always called home. And I wasn't surprised that there was so much opposition. So I realized right away, just opened up Facebook, and you could see right away that there was just an incredible amount of opposition for it. So it wasn't difficult to find support group that wanted to kind of tackle this issue with me. And so we started a petition. We have over 1,100 signatures 2 days ago. So I'm not sure what it's at right now, but
About 1,200.
yeah, so and so we had a kind of an informal meeting with Cindy Johnson, and she was able to give us a little bit more information about like the background of the project. And but ultimately we just want to see the project stopped and the design kind of taken off the drawing board, and then find a solution. We want to help be a part of finding a solution that the whole community can be proud of and feel like that represents them.
And then the next day longer.
Melissa Temerick, 315 South First Avenue. The last council meeting, I was here, and I personally spoke about how the Culligan Plaza is my favorite place in Alpena, in downtown Alpena. And I was adamant about my opposition about the redesign. But today I'm here for a different purpose. I gather with fellow members of the community, and I hope maybe that's why others are here tonight as well, to speak about how we came to be here on today's agenda. Some of the people in the room may not know a little bit of the background about the Culligan Plaza. The property was obtained in the early 80s, and a stipulation of the sale was that there was a plaque that would be placed in memory of Patrick Culligan, and it had to be placed in the fountain area with a resting area and planting areas. In 2020, there was a plan to refresh Culligan Plaza that was announced in the Alpena News. Our Alpena City Manager, Rachel Smolinski, quote, says,
I have always held parks and recreational spaces for the public in high regard because it attracts and keeps people in your area where they support your economy and tourism. The article goes on to state that in 2020, the city will also seek public input to learn more about what residents want to see at the plaza. Quote, once we come up with some design concepts we want to roll into that space, we'll go out to the public for comment on that. Public comment is very important because the people are going to be the ones using it. End quote. The importance of Culligan Plaza, it's the heart of the downtown of Alpena. It sits at the crossroads of modern architecture meeting charming historical architecture. The design of Culligan Plaza is an opportunity, and we are not here, our group, to debate the merits or the lack of the current design proposal, which was presented in the Alpena News as an approved plan. We believe the community has voiced its opinion loudly and clearly through our petition, various postings on social media, that the current design cannot and should not proceed. We are not here to brainstorm or propose alternate ideas, but at this time, we need to press the stop button and do more work. So we need to discuss due diligence, transparency. The 2021-2022 annual budget presented states that the city, quote, is also looking to reconstruct Culligan Plaza, end quote, with a capital outlay of over $300,000. However, the 2021-2025 City of Alpena Recreation Plan makes no mention of reconstructing or remodeling Culligan Plaza. There are improvements with associated costs for 17 other parks, but no mention of Culligan Plaza. With an outlay now in excess of $300,000, much of which is funded with public monies, and discussions going back many years, why was it not in the recreation plan even if you had no budget? The March 2021 City Council meeting contained a detailed opinion of cost, which alludes to much prior discussions of reconstruction or remodeling the plaza. In our meeting with Cindy, there had been discussion for years. It came up in our meeting that there were discussion for years that a committee had been holding meetings about the reconstruction. When asked about these meetings, wanting to know exactly who were the members of these meetings, what were the meeting schedules, we were not given clear answers. This is not transparency. This project has earmarked an inordinate amount of public money, and there's little, if no, transparency as to the development of this plan and who is involved. The current proposed plan does not reflect what was submitted in the March 2021 meeting. The obelisk, which detracts from Alpena's charming vintage flair, is not mentioned. In our meeting with Cindy, she stated that there was major structural and plumbing problems with the fountain and that it needed to be replaced. We had sent an email to the city engineer asking about whether a study or engineering report has been conducted on the fountain or plaza. On July 27, Steve Schultz returned our email stating that there had been no study, structural or otherwise, on the fountain, other than, quote, what our staff does on a yearly basis to get it up and running. We need to know that the fountain is the heart of our plaza, and we want to know the cost to save it and to make modest upgrades to the plaza. Improvements that were made in 2017 now seem to be removed from the current proposed plan. Cindy, in an interview, quote, these were also done in an effort to match what DDA plants downtown in the spring, end quote. This shows a desire to keep the downtown aesthetically coordinated. The addition of the obelisk and side water feature does not support this. We need transparency, we need due diligence, we need to halt the current plan. I'd like to turn it over to Carol, who will talk about a plan.
Hi, my name is Carol Bobolts. I live at 7705 US 23 South in Osneek. I'm a lifelong resident of Alpena, although I left to go to college in New York. I've been an art director for about 30 years. I commission artwork, deal with criticism, and dish out criticism and take criticism probably on an hourly basis. When I worked in an office, I had a new boss who, by way of introducing me, said, Carol, you know, you've had some successes and you've had some failures, and I'm here to make sure you don't fail anymore. And I thought, wow, what a jerk. But, you know, he was right. Sometimes getting an opinion from an outside person who isn't as involved makes everything better. And I think this is what we're here for. Criticism is sometimes hard to hear, but it does mean that people care. Alpena is a very caring and generous community. And I know that there have been people who've committed to their time and energy in getting to the plan at this point. And I know that they will probably commit their time and energy and resources to any plan that does end up taking place there. But I also believe that anyone who commits their time and energy and money wants to know that their money is being spent wisely. So I think what we need to do is take a step back, look at what it would cost to fix the fountain and maybe make some upgrades, because honestly, you wouldn't tear your house down if you had a leaky toilet. And then step back and make a survey of community members and businesses. How do they use the fountain area? What would they like to see there? And then that can be rolled into an RFP that could go out to the community, could go out to schools in the all statewide, and could go to previous residents who are working in these areas: urban planning, architecture, art and design. This wouldn't have to be an expensive proposition. We can create an honorarium for somebody to get a fee or get some sort of notice for their work, but it really could still be meet the budgets that you're proposing with the monies that you have. The point is really to just see more options, weigh them, and yes, criticize them, but to make an informed decision to move forward that is reflective of the downtown area, reflective of who we want to be in Alpena moving forward. Thank you.
That's the right one.
Yeah, Laurie's got, we have a handout for everybody.
So the right one.
Yeah, that's the big one.
A little both here. Hi, my name is Laurie Wade. I live at 112 West Oldfield Street in Alpena, and taught art for about 40 years. The last 29 years were at Alpena Community College, and I'm retired. And I joined this group for obvious reasons, and I won't be redundant, but we have put together a handout to give to, actually, Carol,
We've got a lot of them, so.
Just for you guys. And we also would like you, if you could, give a copy to the First Federal Foundation.
Yeah.
You can leave them on Anna's desk.
Okay, that's fantastic. And then also the city manager. And by handing this out, what we're hoping is that it will give you the information that we've covered today. It'll also give you an idea of the survey. It will give you some of the comments that people have made on Facebook and in other social medias, and it will give you the names of the people who signed the petition. We think it's really important. We really do, or we would not be here, obviously. And we're asking for a pause, just to step back, as Carol said. And when you come into the downtown area, it is beautiful. And it's beautiful because the city has kept it that way, and because Cindy Johnson has kept it that way. And I think it is truly one of the reasons why everybody is so hard pressed to keep it. It's lovely and it's charming, and it does reflect Alpena. And we hope that you look at the new plan and really think, does that represent us? And look at what we have now, or possibly what we could have other options. That's it. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fine. So this is a little bit different standard than we normally have. Thank you, ladies. I really appreciate your professionalism and for you to come in here and speak to us. I want to open it up to any other public comment. But what I was trying to save a little bit is a lot of redundancy, and I could probably just assume. Let's just throw this out there. Is anybody in the audience in total favor of the design that's been proposed? So then I'll assume that everyone that's here isn't. But if you have something to add that the ladies didn't cover or something like that, then please kind of come up now, and we'll go back to starting the clock so we don't take too long. And then we'll have a quick discussion up here as well.
Becky Witter, 1508 South First Avenue. I don't need 5 minutes. I agree with everything the ladies said. I do want to add something. If there's some plumbing issues that need to be taken care of, please feel free to take care of them. On Facebook, a lot of people said all we need to do is really put down a ramp so that it's ADA compliant. I would have an issue with that. I grew up in a household with a sibling that was wheelchair bound. Ramps aren't all they're cracked up to be. If it could be one side or two sides of it could be paved just to the lip of the fountain so that a person could just roll out to the fountain without the steps, without the ramp, that would be really great. The park is beautiful. It's very functional. And it's been a centerpiece, just like everyone has said. I would add also that we could maybe have some weather protected seating, maybe a bench with a cover over it or something to expand the life of into the seasons. But really, the park is beautiful and I don't want to change it. Thank you.
My name is Annette Karstens, and I live at 1893 Greenfield Drive in Osneek. And she said a bit of what I want to say. First of all, is my husband is handicapped, fully wheelchair bound. And I understood in the very beginning of this that the purpose of redesigning the Culligan Fountain Plaza was to make it handicap accessible. But the design that is out there basically takes the water away from the park, the whole purpose of there being handicap accessibility. We are a city who loves our water, of course, with the Huron, Lake Huron and the shores and the beaches and everything that goes on. To take away the fountain and the focal point of the park and to put it in the corner, you know, we gather there as a group, large people, I mean, large groups of people that gather around the water of the fountain, and to take that away just to make more blank space and to put the water in the corner, you've kind of taken away Lake Huron for the many people that can't get to the beach, such as my husband. And just as she said, as far as putting a ramp, one side of those steps could be taken out and have a switchback ramp put in, and it could remain as it is. Another point that I wanted to make is that my husband is not able to get into the county courthouse, the circuit court. We've had the unfortunate circumstances with his former business that he was embezzled heavily, and we've been in criminal case hearings for 4 years now, and he has not been able to one single time attend one of those hearings that was at the circuit court building, because there is absolutely zero accessibility to someone who is wheelchair bound. The amount of money that would cover the renovations to the Culligan Plaza, the way it sits, I think that money could go a long way to making something that is a necessity handicap accessible. You know, when we do have hearings at the circuit court, at times they're able to reschedule them over into the district court, but sometimes we get put into a tiny space and it's not conducive to an adequate hearing. It kind of stomps on his rights as a business owner who has had this criminal act made against him, that he can't, he can't attend the hearings properly. And so I just say that, you know, first of all, I feel like saying we're going to totally redesign the Culligan Plaza to make it handicap accessible is almost like you're blaming it on handicapped people. And so we're taking away the water and putting it in the corner because of handicapped people. And I know my husband wouldn't appreciate that. I know that he wants to get to the fountain the way it is, the center point, the focal point of the park. And I know that one day when this embezzlement hearing comes to a close and we're finally able to have our last hearing and trial, that I know that he would like to attend that trial. And no one no one seems to, I know it's a historic building, but no one seems to be pushing that issue that we have. There's so many offices up there, not about, just about trials.
Interrupt you just briefly, and I'm sorry.
Okay,
We want to keep this to Culligan Plaza, please.
okay.
And just for clarification, the court system and the courthouses are a completely different government than us.
And I apologize for that. And
Share anything.
well, I apologize for that. And I understand that. But my point was,
I understand.
if there are funds out there that somebody could be using for something.
They're not even the same. We couldn't give them money to spend on the courthouse.
Okay.
It's not how it works. But I feel for you. But
Okay. Okay, I got it. But put that money somewhere else, perhaps.
And I've heard that a lot.
Okay. I'm sure you have.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I don't mean to be like that.
Okay. Well, nobody puts baby in the corner, right? So don't put the water in the corner. Leave it where it is. Make that accessible.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Bray. I live at 700 South First Avenue. And I'm kind of late to the party because I'm the only one apparently on earth that's not on social media. So I've read a little bit about it in the paper. Thank you, Steve. I think it was you. Anyhow, I drive or walk by that plaza several days a week. And I am very impressed. It's such a pleasure to drive by. It's beautiful. And along the lines, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. That's kind of how I feel about it. But I also think the city needs, and I know there are all these little pockets of money and you can't necessarily rob Peter to pay Paul, but I don't think the city takes as good a care of things as they could. You have a beautiful downtown. I think the DDA is maybe responsible for the flowers, I'm not sure. But the new merchants downtown that came from the mall, it's gorgeous. I just hear compliments from people all the time about it. But then I go downtown and I see those little protective bumper guards. I'm not sure what they're called on the corners to keep wheelchairs, bikes, strollers. They're all broken. They're some of them gone completely. They're worn down, and also the ones in some of the area neighborhoods. There are always streets that need to be fixed, sidewalks that need to be fixed. And I kind of think, and this is getting off the subject, but I think you need to look at some things that make life better for our residents. Bring back, if you ever have the extra money, the sidewalk snow plowing. Not everybody is as fortunate as my husband and I are to have a devoted neighbor who, whenever there's a quarter-inch of snow, is out with his snow blower and he blows almost half the block. What?
Please stay on the plaza.
Well, but it's money, it's city. All right, but I'm just saying.
Because everybody.
Okay.
Everybody.
Right. Well, I'm just thinking this.
We could spend.
There are things where I would like to see done rather than redesign of the.
Please tell us, just not right now. I mean, you know what I mean? I
know, and I apologize. Steve knows once I start talking, I don't just. Anyhow, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Amy Truth. I live at 9484 West Long Lake Road, and I'm here to inject some humor into the situation. Do we need a giant phallic symbol in downtown Alpena? That's the whole thing, okay? And I am fond of phallic symbols, okay? I am. I actually would go to rock shops. There's about 7 of them in Alpena, some of them Emporium, across from Emporium, the bookstore, a ton of them. And you can get these beautiful things, and I've been buying a lot of them, like, okay? I want to say something. They're not relaxing. I've had them around my house and it's like phallic symbols and they never go down. What about a phallus that never gets soft? Would you like that? Would a woman like that? Would a man like that? No. And this is basically, up here, and so much energy going upward, and it takes a lot of energy. I would say when you're in a city, I love cities. And the last city I was in was Dallas, Texas in May, and the skyscape is amazing. Their buildings are absolutely wonderful and different and wonderful, and they're lit up at night. And it's like, wow, this is so exciting. And the city's exciting and electric. I love being in cities. Do I want to live there? No, that's why I always come back to Alpena. I've been to cities in the other countries. I love cities. I love the architecture. I love the points. I love everything about it. But I always come here because it's relaxing. And I want to live in a relaxing place. I want to visit a city. I think if people want to visit a city, that's great, but they don't want to live here. That's why they live in Alpena. And I would say let's go for more of a feminine symbol, maybe a mermaid fountain or a circular fountain or something that actually reflects relaxation. You go, oh, the world is going so fast. There's so many things going on. But here we are, a nice little relaxing Alpena. And we don't have to be looking at linear, upright, powerful things like this, okay? Like guns are strong like this. Knives are strong like this. It's a very phallic masculine symbol. And I feel like we're not just a phallic masculine town. We're a wonderful blend of people who love each other. Masculine, feminine, whatever. But it doesn't, well, you don't want to dwarf the church steeples. You don't want to dwarf the Christmas tree. These are very strong. We're a traditional old world charm place. And I feel we have to honor that and be very proud of it and not have to mimic cities that are electric and beautiful in their own way. But we're beautiful. Is a wildflower is that more, oh, that's so small, that should be tall like a redwood. No, it's lovely just like it is. Alpena's lovely just like it is.
Thank you.
Angie Skiba, 635 River. I am definitely in favor of stopping the program. I fought it long ago. This was voted in a long time ago. At that meeting long ago, I do not ever remember any amount of money that was going to be coming from that area, from Parks and Recreation. Am I correct? It was the division that aren't we voting on something regarding is it $200,000? Help me out with the amount of money where this is coming from, not the main budget.
Know where you're going. ARPA?
ARPA. Okay. I didn't remember any of the money coming from that, where the part of the money goes towards children.
Well, that's the county rec fund.
Okay.
So the youth and rec fund?
Yes.
So just in the event you brought it up. So that's a millage that's been going on for years. It's probably been renewed at least 3 times. My opinion, absolutely fantastic. And so what happens is that's run by the county, and the county has a board that members sit on the board, and they welcome every year, they welcome applications for grant money to do a multitude of different, if you read, every year they put out the list of places that have gotten that money. It's everything from the Plaza pool to the new bathrooms at Long Lake Park, lighting here and there. So it's vast. And so the city, correct me if I'm wrong, the city applied for a youth and rec grant, and I think we were awarded $30,000, $20,000.
And it's youth and rec. It's not youth rec, just so people are clear.
So it's 2 separate.
It's two separate.
It's the same. It's the same
pot of money.
Same pot of money, but it's youth and rec. So it's youth and recreation. So it's not just youth.
It's not 2 separate buckets.
No, same bucket. And so, take a look sometime and go in the records and see what different things are funded. And we won't debate it or argue it, but this fits in. I mean, there's way more people that are younger than me that use that plaza than I think older. I'm putting myself in the 30s.
Yes.
So it fits in, but that wasn't our decision in the first place. So they look at the grant, they look at what it's being used for, and that committee decides whether it fits what that youth and rec committee money was passed for or not. So the argument as to whether that's misappropriated funds or not, things like that, that's take that to the county youth and rec board, because they awarded the grant and hundreds of others. So we don't want to really debate where that's at. I just thought I would explain to people where that money comes from and what it's for. Skate park, great, another example of something that might get asked as well, but
I think it's a great program. I wasn't criticizing that. I was trying to just clarify the dollar amount because I keep hearing different dollar amounts that are going into this from that youth and rec fund.
it was 20, we were granted $20,000.
Okay. Thank you. And I just want to say that I love the park as it is. It could have some minor improvements to fix it, but we definitely need to keep the fountain there. It can be made handicap accessible with a ramp. I agree with that. Where the wall is, if you were to approach, which I know the poor business owners in Alpena, but if you're talking about possibly getting some funds for things to change, if you want to do part of a fundraiser, charge people for a plaque and they could go on that whole wall. They could be a small plaque made and have them screwed into the wall, and they could have their name on the wall. They could be raising funds to help with the upkeep for the changes, and they would be there. And a lot of people who come and go would like to see that. I know you're not answering questions. I want to know where the Christmas tree is going to go. I want to know where Santa's going to go. I want to know what's going to happen with the Brown Trout Festival with the fishing. I think there's a lot of issues. That fountain has been here for a long time. It is the focal point. The flowers are beautiful there. Keep the beautification there. There's Friday night music. There's people coming and going. And tell you the truth, there's a lot of people that don't always, I rarely see people going down to the fountain to right at the level, but they're enjoying the beauty and they're going near. And if you wanted to, where there was discussion before about the steps, keeping the steps allows people, if you do have a lot of music and there are not enough seats, and I've seen where that's been an overflow, people will sit 1, 2, and 3 levels at the music on the Fridays. So I'm definitely in favor of stopping the plan. I was from the very beginning, and not many people took notice then, but I do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marlena Gibson. This is my son Levi Banky. Okay, I know you wanted to stay on task, but we're a little late because we went to the courthouse first accidentally.
That slide.
Okay, and I'm moving a little slow amongst all the steps and everything out there. However, we will make it quick. It is about the skate park, okay? My son, he's beautiful, but he is so scarred from all of the damage at the skate park, okay, and the low maintenance of the skate park. There are so many people who use the skate park who are very knowledgeable about how to fix it or maintain it properly, have offered. But my biggest point is this 10-year-old, when he was 9, his class was asked last year to write a letter to anybody, any adult, anyone in the world. Example, your mom, your dad, the president, Santa, anybody. He chose the mayor of Alpena. And it was about the skate park. And it was right after a horrific accident he had. And he got no response back. Nobody returned his letter. No one sent him an email, and he included his email address. My email address. And so no one responded to him. And the repairs still haven't been done. There's no way to get up on the ramps. And we've been to so many skate parks. I take him downstate to go to skate parks, or I take him to indoor skate parks, okay? They have stairs that lead up to them. There are no ladders at these ones. There are no stairs. There's no way to get up onto the ramps to use them without climbing your butt off and actually falling and hurting yourself. There's a lot of, nails that are poking up, screws that are poking up, a lot of sharp metal. But the thing is my son he uses that skate park all year round. He utilizes it all year round, even in the wintertime. We take him 2-3 times a week so he can sled down it, snowboard down it, just go down on his stomach So he's utilizing that even all year round. It's not just a spring, summer, fall type of thing. It's still getting use, you know, in the winter. But there's a lot of repairs that he and his father and myself, we would all, and his friends, would like to see done to it. And we're just talking about it now because we got here late, and we both, I'm speaking on his behalf because he's nervous. So am I, but I wanted to show him that even though you're nervous, it's okay to still get up and talk in front of people. And like I said, he could have written a letter to anybody, but he chose the mayor, and his topic was the skate park. So he could enjoy it more, and so he could stop seeing all of his friends fall and get hurt. Even some of his older friends that are very knowledgeable and also utilize the park on their rollerblades. He learns a lot from them, but a lot of people are starting to not want to go anymore if it's not going to be maintained. And we've all suggested that we would do it ourselves. Like I said, there's a lot of people that would know how to fix it and do it ourselves, you know, and if there was funding or if we were allowed. His dad's a carpenter. He offered to fix it. He nailed down nails on his own. We went there and we took him there, and he took a hammer and nailed down some of the nails and tried to shave them down so that way he wasn't getting hung up on them, getting cut on them. So the only way to get up them is to get a really good running start and try to get up that incline. And if you don't do it, you fall, you slide, you get burned from sliding down the wood. So, but like I said, it would have been nice if he would have got a response back from the mayor or from the mayor's office, just anybody representing the city, you know, just to say that we hear you, you know, even though you're 9, 10 years old, you're a third grader, we hear you. And we'll try to work on one of the spaces that you utilize in our city. And as far as the fountain goes, we used to live at 249 South 2nd Avenue, right across from the funeral home. And I had a job where I worked very, very late, and I would walk to the fountain myself for a long time. And I felt very, very safe. And I would just sit there and watch the water by myself. Nobody bothered me. Police stopped, see if I was okay. And I would take my son to Scoops quite often. After that, we would go sit at the fountain. It was Scoops, and then we sit at the fountain. That's where we eat it. I would like to see it stay. I don't want to see it go forever. And whatever it changes into, hopefully it's something beautiful and can be accessible to anybody at any point in time. So, thank you. And
What's your son's name?
Levi. Nope, right up here. Levi what?
Levi.
Levi Banky.
Levi, I can't speak for what happened to your letter, but it didn't make it to me.
Oh.
I respond to every letter that ever gets sent to me. And they're few and far between, quite honestly.
Maybe my teacher failed to send
letters. So it didn't make it. So I'm really sorry.
About it then.
I hated for you to think all this time that I didn't get your letter or I didn't respond. So I apologize for that, but I don't know where it ended up. So
Well, thank you for hearing us now then.
yeah.
Appreciate it. But so we'll talk to the school about it then, because they encourage these kids to pick somebody, pick an adult that's, you know, in some way important in your life or could make could make a difference.
That's very cool.
Somebody that could make a difference in the world or makes a difference in your life. And he chose the mayor of the city.
And he just did as well. Made a difference.
Yeah. What do you say?
All right.
That's him right there.
Thank you.
Levi? In the red shirt?
Yeah.
Would you like to say thank you? He's like,
I already did.
That's it. Say nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I'm not here to talk about the skate park. Last time I was here to talk, it was about the skate park, but that was a long time ago. Mike Hamilton, 503 West Washington Avenue here in Alpena. I just have a suggestion. The first time I heard about Culligan Plaza was via the internet on Facebook. Back several years ago, pre-COVID, I believe we had some meetings over at NOAA for the master plan for Michiquis to update that. And I recall a lot of citizens showed up for that. We had a lot of good input from that. Why not do something like that with this? There seems to be a lot of people who are interested in suggestions, ideas, things like that to improve it or to leave it the same. But let's get the citizens involved at a meeting or two, like we did with the master plan for Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Hi, Christopher Sean. I live at 916 River Street. I want to marry the two subjects in a weird way. I come from the generation that we were basically, Mr. Hamilton went to war for that skate park and got that for our generation. But before that, everyone skated at Culligan Plaza and ruined all the benches. So without a good skate park, Culligan Plaza might end up in disarray again. Before that, the church rails, the stairs, Culligan Plaza, the old Alpena Power Company had a nice ledge there that used to get skated a lot. We've seen that all disappear with the skate park. So I think if it isn't a top priority, and I'm looking in here and I'm seeing like a huge number of people for skate park and everybody else for Culligan Plaza. So I kind of wanted to marry those in a weird way. So I just want the city to consider our options there. Or the old stairs, again, are going to be the skate spot.
Yeah.
Pat Lockery, 114 East Crapo Street. I'm here to talk about the skate park. It's in the 20 years, the only thing I've seen done to it is the city changed trash bags or paint some lines on it. No repairs, no nothing. Just screws falling out and some random guy wanting to change them or whatever, fixing them, screwing them down. It's pathetic, very pathetic to me that you guys will change pointless things in this town to me that don't appeal to anything. I've seen like somebody made a comment on them. The crosswalk bumper things, I think it's for like ice or something like that. They're all cracked to shit. And well, sorry, it's all cracked. Come on. Like what are you guys doing? My kids use it. A bunch of other people here use it. And I speak for another 100 or so people that are on the issue of the skate park that probably can't be here tonight because they work, yada, yada, family. So changes to that are, I feel, extremely necessary because like Chris Sean just said, we're going to be back downtown and I'll teach my kid how to skate downtown because if that's going to be taken away from us or not repaired, I'm not going to have my kid break his leg on a screw that's hung up because our city does not want to fix it. 20 years, you guys never done anything to it other than trash bags and paint some lines. To me, it's pathetic. And I'm not trying to be rude or anything. It's the fact that she doesn't want her kid hurt. I don't want my kid hurt. These people don't want their kids hurt. Mr. Hamilton went to war for us 20 years ago for this. And I think it'd bring a lot more people here. When that skate park first opened, it's packed every single day, all day. And if you repair, fix, add, I think, I know for a fact you'll have more traffic down there. And that's more people coming from surrounding cities to bring families here. They'll use it, they'll shop, they'll spend money. You guys will be happy. Thank you.
Control a little bit. I am, you are, you guys are fine. Want to stick to the plaza.
You have time for one more, or I can go sit down?
Oh, no. I'd appreciate it if you stuck to the plaza though. We had all the other topics were earlier.
I've been here for a long time. I remember when one kid was arrested and kids used to get tickets for being on their skateboard in town. So I didn't realize that the skateboard park was in that much of array, and that's kind of shameful, but that's another thing. But my name is Laurie Verraro. I'm in the health field and I work on a lot of different people. We have a lot of new people coming into town from all across the country because Alpena is a quaint, nice town. People want to get away from the rat race. And when you come into town, you come into downtown, the first thing you hear is water. You hear it from the plaza, the Culligan Plaza. And that water is very calming. They've even done studies where you can put a mural of a nature scene in a hospital room and that person's blood pressure will go down. So it's just really silly. It's really silly to tell us that our fountain is in bad shape, but we can't do the maintenance to keep it up. I mean, why did we let it get so bad that, well, we got to just get rid of it? That is ridiculous. Let's tweak it. Let's make it better, but keep it the way it is. Let's put that extra money to the skate park. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna close public comment and pose a question. So just from my perspective, I haven't really been involved in the plaza almost at all. So I'm just gonna ask Cindy a quick question, if you don't mind, is where is the current, what is the current status of the plaza design?
So, and I've told this to anyone who asked me, and I told it to the group that I went and talked to the plaza about. We have put the plaza design on hold until.
That's all she's got.
That's all I got.
So okay. Sometimes that's all you got. I'm a little bit more boisterous. So she said that the design committee for the current plaza has put the design on hold.
So we will get back together as a group, take all of the comments that we've gathered from people, all of the suggestions, get back together as a group and see where we go from there. So no money has been spent. Nothing has been built. It is a work in progress. So that's where we are as a committee.
When you say meet back together to discuss it, do you mean a public meeting or do you mean your committee that you?
Our committee. I think that the committee has, based on everything that's been said, the committee deserves an opportunity to get back together and regroup. Based on everything that everyone has said, to see where we may go forward. I think the committee will decide.
Do you think the committee might decide to do like an assessment of the damages to kind of have like a report of the cost of repairs to keep it the way it is, to compare that to see if it's even necessary or if it would even make sense to change it?
Okay.
Seems like a lot of people like it.
So, and I'm going to be clear about this. The plaza needs to be ADA accessible for everyone. If you try to build a ramp for and I don't know if Don's on or not, but for so many feet, you have to have a turn, and then so many feet and another turn, and so many feet and another turn. You could take up half of the plaza trying to build a ramp so people can get down to it. It's not practical to do that, and you're going to take up a lot of space.
No, wait. This is where I am going to keep absolute control of this meeting. There's too many people in here to have a debate with everybody that's in here. Taishaw is on the agenda. She can have a conversation, but you'll just have to hear out what Cindy has to say and then take it afterwards. We're not going to have a 35-person debate in this room. So let her explain what she's been told on the committee level and from our staff. And I'm not saying that you're going to agree. I'm not even saying that I'm going to agree. I'm going to listen to her. But everybody in this room has to stay absolutely quiet with the exception of Taishaw and her three guests.
Okay, so Taishaw's question was?
About I forget. What was my question?
I do know what she was saying. Do you want to do it or no? Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, really. One of the questions that, I think what she was trying to ask is, will the committee, I guess since there's been so much public outcry for keeping it the way it is, will there be a study that's going to be available to the public that will assess reconditioning of the infrastructure that exists now?
Okay.
And we're looking at that. And then the other thing I would like to add, if that's the case, that proposal, and that is transparent. And in that, because there's a question about the ramp, usually what happens with the ramp, having someone in their family who's 58 now, that's been in a wheelchair their whole life. Usually for every 1 inch of rise, you have to have 12 inches, or every inch of rise, you have to have 12 inches of horizontal, okay? And then after you go down 30 feet, then you have to have a break, and then, but no turns. And so it's really easy, and it's also very easy to visualize it going down the side of that fountain that flanks Second Avenue. So the concern initially with Taisha's question was, is it going to be transparency made aware to the public that what it would cost to improve the infrastructure that exists now?
Yep.
And then I think the other thing that our group, and this would be my comment, would be, is if that is not plausible, and it has to go back to the committee, and there is going to be a redesign of the park, and I think we get to that in the back of this. As the city planner said, I think it was quoted in 2020, call for entries, a call for bids for what's going to be proposed there. You know, how much is it going to cost for the design of the park? Then how do a call for entry on an artistic level? Because, you know, and present that to the public. And maybe with the call for entries, whittle it down to 10 people, whittle that down to 3 people as a committee, and then bring that to the public and say, okay, these are the 3 ideas that we have for Alpena. What do you think? And this is how much this is going to cost. This is how much it's going to cost to repair the infrastructure, and make that clear. And I think it's really important to make it, the plaza itself right now is design specific. You walk through there and you look at it and it belongs there. It goes with the architecture, goes with all of the surrounding. When you walk over to the museum and you look at that fountain that's in front of the museum, you go, that belongs there. That's site specific. It works. You walk over to the covered bridge at the duck park and that's perfect. In fact, they have a tile of it down at Pewabic Pottery in Detroit. That's what they have for Alpena. They have our bridge. And that's awesome. And that's how perfect our plaza is. You come in from 2nd Avenue, you come in from 32 and 23, and that's our city right there. It defines us.
Explain to me, and this is just not argumentative, this is me, how does, when you just said that the current plaza fits, when you just come down the street and it
works.
But what is it about the current plaza that caused you to say that it was design specific and it fits Alpena? I don't know.
For me, I believe that it's a somewhat classical arrangement. It has greenery, it has places to sit. It's a nice balance between the more modern buildings of the old First Federal and then the old First Federal across the street, Osborne Klein, I think it is now. And I think the red brick, the pavers, they relate to the more historical part of downtown. The lighting that is there, which was not original. I remember the original lighting. That was a huge public outcry. It fits in with the historical. So you have this area, which is kind of a bridge between more modern architecture and the more traditional architecture of downtown. And I think, I mean, to me, I just, you know, again, I didn't want to critique anything here, but I think of a 60-foot illuminated tower as being the biggest bug magnet in a 3-county area. I can't keep my little light behind my porch clean.
And I heard that before. I was just, it was the first person that was live in front of me that I could ask what you mean by it. The current one fits.
It's the layout.
And the finishes.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the finishes, yeah. It works.
The materials, because if you use materials like Alpena is like, there's a lot of city buildings because we're a small city. So, and then you have like this little pocket of nature, which has like the sound of water and falling water. So it's a little like, if you're shopping and you're doing all this like hustle and like you're in the city and you might have a drink or lunch or whatever, and then you can stop there and you can hear that, like someone else mentioned, like it's very relaxing. So when you see like things that light up different colors and it's like very rigid, tall tower, that's not that relaxing. So I think what people use the fountain for now is to sit and relax, and they meet there. Hey, I'll meet you at the fountain, finish shopping, kids, whatever. Grandma's tired. She wants to sit and have ice cream, and we'll meet back at the fountain. And it's like a place I think where people like to hear falling water.
Okay.
It's not too big,
Can I?
colorful, overwhelming.
Easy.
It's serene and
Okay.
lovely.
Okay, so I'm going to answer some of the questions and concerns that have been brought up. So I did ask Steve today. The city had done a study a few years ago to kind of level the plaza and fix the underground. I did ask him if he could get out that study and the cost of that. And then, of course.
We have that actually.
Okay. And from 2020, maybe?
Roughly, yeah. It was part of the original grant package.
Okay.
To basically just bring the plaza up to all flat, put a fountain there.
Okay. And of course,
and to
have
skyrocketed
for everything, so it would be more than that. As far as the fountain, there will be a fountain feature forever in Culligan Plaza. It's not going anywhere. If you go to Culligan Plaza, and even when I met with the group at Culligan Plaza, I put in Culligan Plaza benches. The DDA is kind enough to give me benches and tables with umbrellas. Those actually belong to the DDA, and they let me use them. So I put them in the plaza for people to sit and eat their ice cream cones and all of those things. Otherwise, there would be nothing. But the wooden benches that we sat by that day, everyone brought the benches that I borrowed from the DDA over to sit. Nobody sat on those wooden benches, those brick wooden benches that are back there. They're not functional. The skateboarders like them. Yeah. But they're not functional for sitting on, and it's a lot of wasted space. So the plaza has, besides the water underground, and it's not just the fountain that's cracked. A couple of years ago, the water that feeds both of the tall beds, I took a broom down there every day. I kept thinking we were having a bug issue. I brushed the sand in every single night until one day it was just flowing down the steps. And I sent a picture to engineering and I said, I don't know what kind of bugs we have, but this is ridiculous. It wasn't bugs. The pipes underground burst, so they had to turn them off. So there's no water to supply the flower beds that are in there. If bands want to play, or Friday night music, or even Wednesday afternoon in the park, which they've started, which is absolutely wonderful, want to play in the park, they have one place to plug in. So I can tell you from a design perspective what the committee sees in this park. I'll tell you the basics of what they see in this park. We see electrical throughout the park. We see potable water for events. And the electrical will service the bands, chili cook-offs. If people want to have things down there, wherever they need to set up, they will be able to set up. We see charging stations if you need to charge your cell phones. We see trees planted in the ground anywhere along the city streets. The salt is devastating to the trees. So we see the plaza as trees planted in big planters that we can move away from the street in the wintertime so they don't die. We see planters that can be moved that have the flowers. We see more benches and tables with umbrellas. We see it as a movable, multi-purpose functional space for no matter what goes on there. If it's a rally, they can move things out of the way. If somebody wants to have a dinner party on the plaza, they can do that. If they want to have Friday night music, they can play wherever they want in the plaza. People can dance. I know there's dancers that go to the plaza on Friday night. The steps are a hazard. So we've incorporated the Christmas tree will always be in the plaza. Santa House can move back into the plaza and away from the street so the kids are safe. The steps, which are a trip hazard to everyone, and including myself, who goes down there every night to water, and I have to watch when I back up so I don't fall down the steps. They are a trip hazard. We need to eliminate that. And that's where a level plaza comes in. What goes on beyond that is open for discussion. We do, just so that you know, we have collaborated with Thunder Bay Art Council with an artist that they have, this year's artist, Autumn, who is doing a piece for the bypath, asked if her piece could go into Culligan Plaza. Thunder Bay Arts Council has paid for that piece, for the majority of it at $25,000. That's an investment the city does not have to pay for. So we have been collaborating with Thunder Bay Arts Council on the piece that will go in the fountain. We have worked hard to bring people on board that will donate time, material, and effort to the plaza. Give the citizens of this city an exceptional place to be. What that looks like in a final design, it's open to discussion. But those are the pieces that we've pulled together. They're the pieces that we've discussed, and we're open to just about anything. But I do, Tim, did you have, no? Yes.
I was going to speak earlier, but I thought it best to let the conversation unfold. I'm here to actually hear the comments today. And it's actually, for someone who teaches political science and history, it's kind of refreshing to see this kind of turnout for a community discussion. And I will say that I was a part of the committee that met, I think 3 times total, to begin the discussion. I think there's a bit of a false impression here that what you saw in the paper, what you read in the paper was set in law. It was the beginning of a discussion with some concepts that came forward from various interested parties. First Federal Foundation in particular, the Thunder Bay Arts Council, who was also donating a piece of sculpture, our 2022 featured sculpture for the bypath. And trying to bring all these pieces together is not easy, just as this conversation is not always easy, because there are so many different interests. But I can tell you that as someone who sat in those meetings and someone who teaches government at the college, there was nothing nefarious about what was being done. In fact, I commend our city government officials for fostering that conversation. Perhaps it wasn't broad enough at that stage of the process. And I commend all of you for speaking up, particularly those of you that brought the issue forward, because it's causing us all to step back and continue to think about precisely how this will play out. That was probably where we were to begin with, but like so many things in society, people don't always participate initially, and you got everyone's attention, so good for you. I would also say that the renderings probably are not in any way accurate. Steve, we tried, you did a great job, but it's just imagery. And I think all the comments that were made, I'm particularly sensitive to the aesthetics. It's a Victorian town. The center needs to maintain its Victorian identity. But at the same time, we obviously need to deal with some infrastructure issues. And in the process of doing that, we can enhance. So I would suggest as a committee member that we invite the delegates of this petition to attend that initial discussion as we commence with this, so that we can take their ideas into consideration formally and move forward productively. We got to make this happen. And, you know, Laurie, no disregard to what you said, but a lot of what you said would involve potentially a referendum. You know, we're talking about months and months potentially of reaching out. But at the same time, I think that getting the information you want and disseminating that, going down the lines of what you said, Cindy, to detail a little bit more thoroughly about the intentions as this unfolds, is the best path forward. So I really am reluctant to do what I'm doing right now, because I think I put myself out there potentially as a target, being on this committee. But I can tell you that every single person that participated in those conversations was doing so with the best intentions of enhancing our downtown.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that
I know you.
that was the case at all.
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'm more concerned about the community at large who's watching this, especially in this political environment, that here we are again, polarized.
I don't think.
But I think this is demonstrating that we're forcing a conversation that was probably remiss.
Yeah, I think this is really, and if anybody misunderstood this is the first that it was mentioned. I think what we were trying to do, we weren't saying that this was a closed chamber or whatever. We were trying to bring our ideas forward. We certainly appreciate the invitation. But to clarify that, I don't think we were implying anything about the meetings being secretive, but to have the public be, and I don't believe it would take a referendum, be a part of what is going to be in there. If a change is necessary, what will be in there? Because apparently that's what is being imposed here. There's a woman in the back that they feel that if there's no cohesiveness, and as Carol said, we didn't come here to critique things, but when you look at the two objects, the sculpture, which is the water piece, and also the obelisk, there's really, from a design perspective, there's no relationship between those two things to each other at all, and there's no relationship to them with the surrounding architecture. Do you have to keep it absolutely Victorian? No, what you have there now is not absolutely Victorian, but there is a connection, there's a cohesiveness in that park, and that park with the objects that are placed in it now even relate to the south side or the north side of town as you go down. But I think it's the question of the public, are the two objects that are going on? We're not questioning the meeting itself. So
and in that sense, I would just say, now that we know who in the broader community has a true interest in this, I would say invite them to the table. They were the designated people here today to speak up. I think that's healthy. I would tend to agree with you about the disconnect, even though I participated in those discussions. This is all multiple parties trying to do something good, and we find the harmony among it. I'll tell you, the themes were lumber and concrete, limestone, and water. Water will not get lost in this.
Right, and that's sort of thing I say to go call out, I guess, just as the overall design, but also call for entry where you have parameters that say that there is lumber, there is limestone, this and that. People do that all the time when there's a call for entries, and that can be part of the project. And it should go on a city level, a state level, and I'm going to say national level. Somebody the other day said, oh, nobody nationally would apply, and we kind of jested because we have students from Alpena that are extremely productive artists in Georgia, Galveston, and all over the country. And I don't know that they would apply, but it would be nice to ask.
Just one last note about Thunder Bay Arts Council. I hope it's very clear here that the way we got involved in this is our featured sculpture for this year. We needed to find a city park to place it. And since it's a limestone, water in limestone is the title of it, we thought Culligan Plaza would be a wonderful place. Initially, it would be on a pedestal. We have over 100 people who donated to this to make it financially feasible. We need a place, and we thought Culligan would be great. When we heard that the fountain was going to have to be redone, we imagined it could potentially be integrated into the fountain, maybe not. It could be a standalone. And then the obelisk came into the picture. And the challenge is, can we merge these things? So I'll leave you with that. I'm sorry, you can tell we both taught at Alpena Community College. We're going on and on and on. Yeah, she does too. So
thank you, Tim. I really appreciate it. And just to make,
I think I just want to say something. I just want to say again, you're spending so much money here. This is not an insignificant amount of money for a small town like this. You owe it to yourselves to explore options. You shouldn't go with just the first design that gets shown to you. You just do due diligence on that part of it. I mean, I design things every day. Never is my first design chosen. Never. Go through a process.
And I think, so the process is going to continue, and I think they certainly get what has been presented. Thank you, Tim. I guess my only question was going to be, and perhaps whether Tim's suggestion is adequate or not, but my question was going to be, how do people that are passionate about this approach the committee or be there or anything like that? So if you'll address that really quick.
Okay, and we have addressed this. What I would like to say, as a committee member, and I'm not a committee member from council. No one appointed me to this committee. No one said, Cindy, go sit on this committee. I am on this committee because I've taken care of Culligan Plaza for the last 5 years. So the conversation of Culligan Plaza, when it comes up, I'm involved in it. That being said, because there has been so many horrible things that have been said about the design and the people, let's just say the design, I do think that the committee deserves a chance to get together, talk to the people who have contributed to this point and see where they're at. See if they want to continue in any fashion. I can tell you that tower is probably done. But where do we go from there? These people have offered to contribute in a significant way to Alpena. And there's no easy way to say this, that it has to hurt to hear and read what you see on Facebook about when you're trying to do good. So as a committee member, I want to get together with the group, have these conversations and see, bring it all back in. Where do we go from here? And then maybe bring people in.
Okay.
Maybe bring people in, bring us in.
Yes.
Well, and I know if Jean was here, she would be a little bit more versed on this, but I do have an issue that there's this committee that I don't know who the committee is.
That's not true.
Well,
Because when we sat in that meeting, I gave.
come up with some of the names.
No,
Yes.
I didn't come up with some of the names. I gave him
When the
all of.
schedule of the names, the schedule. So yes, on the committee, we had First Foundation legacy members that had wanted to change the Culligan Plaza in the past.
Can I just?
But you're using funds from the city, from federal, and it should be that citizens know about this committee. Where are the meeting minutes?
Well, we won't go, we're not going to go there. I don't want to have a debate about Open Meetings Act and minutes because
I'm just saying that
this
if
isn't
she were here, that's, she would, I'm not versed in that. So I would be remiss because I took her
it's a
place.
fair enough argument depending on your side of the argument. So, so things there are adopted parks all the time. There's people that have adopted parks and they do certain amount of improvements to parks a lot that nobody in this room either appreciates or knows about. You don't go to the meetings. They adopt the park. They let engineering know what they're going to do. I think we have a fund up to like a $5,000 that Steve can give them without coming to us. And they make those simple improvements, whether it's flowers or whatever. So that kind of thing happens all the time. This one is bigger, obviously, came to city council because it's a pretty enormous amount of money, obviously, compared to $5,000 that Steve can do. And that's how it got to this point. So what we're saying is, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the people that designed this, whether I know who they are or not, because quite frankly, I don't. I think it's fair enough for them to have a chance to meet and decide whether they want to get off, whether they're out, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people involved in this. And if they've seen the Facebook posts or they've heard the things and they say, you know what, we're just out. That way inviting the public to, or even your group to their first meeting after this, they want to have a frank conversation about whether they're in or out. I think that's fair enough. And then, but we'll need to know at some point. And so I'll just ask, I'm assuming it's sometime in August. I'll just ask that Cindy come back and let us know where you're at with that and how you're going to involve the public.
I will do that, but I would just like to let everybody know that the First Federal Foundation, probably at least 5 years ago, because it's ever since I adopted Culligan Plaza, came to the city and wanted to donate money to Culligan Plaza in the water feature. We had a few meetings. COVID came, those meetings, they didn't last. And then when we started the conversation about the plaza again, when we knew we had money coming, and we actually started it before we knew we had money coming, but First Federal Foundation is willing to give $100,000 toward the plaza. That is not chump change. They would like input on the fountain feature. I think that they're entitled to that for their investment. So if they hang with us, if they stay with us after everything that's happened, they will have a say in the fountain and the water feature in the plaza.
They should,
Well,
and they
yes.
should. They are part of the
They
foundation.
should, but it also brings up who has the most dollars, gets to have the voice of the community.
Well, I think that what she's saying is that if they choose to remain a member, and from watching I watched the video from the July 5th meeting that you guys had, and First Federal's been planning this for quite a while. And they actually upped the amount of money that they decided to donate. They did sound a bit hesitant at first. This wasn't what would with the present plan. Although they went along with it. They backed, they said, yeah, but they said, this wasn't the idea that we had initially. And I think that the foundation, I don't know them. However, because of their commitment that I see reflected in the July 5th one and what you have referenced, I see them sticking with it. I don't see them leaving. And I definitely always see them as part of being the selection process for the fountain. Nobody's questioning that at all. I think that just the people want a little bit more input.
Even about the trees.
Yeah.
Like, is there a tree person on the committee? Because there's elements that are like, maybe there's a way to have trees. I know that the solution that you guys on the committee were like, let's do potted trees. But what happens when more trees downtown are dying from salt? Then do we just tear those out and then have potted trees everywhere?
Maybe. And that's a question that the DDA.
But I think we need more.
And I can actually tell you that we've had that conversation.
Yeah. I think the one thing I'd like to leave from here with tonight, and I think I got that already, is that what Matt was saying here is that the group that Cindy's brought together, because Cindy has adopted that park. And as I said, when I first got up to speak, and you do an excellent job.
Thank you.
Kudos to you.
It's gorgeous. That's what
it is. That's you're part of the reason why people want to keep that park, Cindy. And truly, very much so. And that is true. But backing up again, so I keep a thought, is that what I understand is you want the time to be able to meet with your committee, and then you're going to come back for your meeting in August, and we can come to that if we want. We don't have to be on the agenda, but we can find out when we can come to the meeting concerning Culligan Plaza and the sculptures. Is that right?
Yeah, and I was going to suggest we have your contact information.
You should have taken it, and then
I won't have any information by our next meeting. Because we wouldn't have met yet.
Oh, okay.
So we have your contact information, and just to keep this from, there's city council things and then committee stuff, and we've actually delved way deeper into the committee part of the design and things. I appreciate it. It was a great lesson, but I want to keep it more on the committee level. So let's. I think the suggestion is fine. Let's let the committee meet again and discuss what their next action is going to be. Someone will certainly reach out, more than likely through Taishaw.
It's Taishaw, by the way. Long
Taishaw?
Taishaw.
All these years, I'm sorry. To Taishaw and to make sure that your group is informed of where they're at, because it's probably not going to come back to city council for quite some time.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
Tim?
Yes, so
I would just quickly add that understand that the committee and the discussion of the concepts, we understood that this stuff would all, whatever point it came to, would have to go up for bidding. And of course, nothing could be spent until the city authorized the expenditures. So again, there are steps in the governmental process that would, this is just the review, right? And I realize that there are concerns, legitimate concerns, but that would have all eventually come out. We're just now at the point of, we've got to rethink this complete design and what's maybe included and what would be excluded. And obviously when those things are settled, again, the financial end of this will all be transparent. It has to be by their own policies and law. So again, that will materialize.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Okay.
That's all I have unless someone else
Okay.
has.
the only other question I had is.
I'm just not gonna open it
Time
back up.
sensitivity of the fund, of part of the funding. It's like the rest of the funding isn't so time sensitive, but the 20 grand from the youth and rec fund.
Just so everyone knows, the $20,000 from Youth and Rec has to be spent by the end of this year. We can spend that on tables and umbrellas and benches. We can spend it on a variety of things that will go in the plaza. It doesn't have to be spent on.
So the design doesn't have to be finalized
No.
for that money to
No.
be spent and utilized so that it doesn't.
Right. And more than likely won't be.
Right.
So that's where I'm going to end it. I really appreciate everybody coming. Not that I want every one of my really easy meetings to be 90 minutes long, but it's great faces. It's great to hear everything from your passion about the skate park, your passion about Culligan Plaza. Just really super appreciate it. And we're on both of them. Some of you will be contacted specifically about the skate park at some point. Mike will be sort of involved, doesn't want to spearhead it again. But
That's fine, he doesn't have to.
But just so you know that's where we're going to go with both of those projects, and we'll see what happens from there.
How about a round of applause for the mayor? He did a great job.
I won't be able to sleep tonight.
The next item, sir, is I move we adjourn.
All right.
A second.
Thank you, everybody. This is like Parks and Rec. Ever see